Mixing with Mike, career building tip. When in doubt, go back to the basics. One of the things that you'll find in working with audio and in working generally with your career and all the things that you do is that when things sort of go wrong or you have doubts or you're not clear about what's going on, most of the time the best thing to do is to go back to the basics. So if I'm working on a mix and I'm stacking up the plugins, stacking up the plugins, stacking up the plugins, and it just is not, I'm not feeling anything, it's not getting better, I'm more likely to go and strip everything down and get back right down to the basics. Bypass everything, go back to levels and panning and figure out where along the way that I've gone wrong and bring back in my basic settings. If you've watched a lot of my videos on mixing and working with things, you'll notice that I'm constantly going back and adjusting levels, adjusting panning, balancing things out. When I put something in, and quite often when I process, you'll notice that I process things with everything in. So I may be doing equalization or compression while other things are going on, and I'm listening how the effect of my changes is responding in the overall mix, not just to the individual sound, but to everything else. The tendency is that when you feel like something is missing, it's add more, add more, add another plugin, add more high end, add more compression, add something, add something, add something. And quite often the answer is to take things away. And this brings you back down to the very basic processing. If the sound is not working, maybe there's something fundamentally wrong with the initial processing. So what is your approach? If your approach is working with, say, for example, subtractive EQ first, are you over filtering? Are you not filtering enough? If the next stage of processing is compression, it's like, okay, is the compression doing what you want? Is it giving it the character? Is it the right thing? Does it need to be a vintage processor? Which vintage processor? Is it warm enough, rich enough? And are you getting what you're looking for out of that vintage processor? And the thing that you should get into the habit of is if you put something on and it's like, difference, is negligible or can't really tell, leave it off. Because most of the time that's causing problems. Other thing that happens is the more, and that I've personally found, is that the more plugins you apply, the harder you make the CPU work. Usually the thinner, the more wiry, and the worse things end up sounding. It's not about the amount of processing, it's about the quality of processing. So really be careful about that as you do things. Now, it's the same thing, and it's a great parallel because all the things you do in your mixing world also work in your career. So if you're working on things and you're, trying to sell your material, and nothing, you just don't seem to be getting through, you don't seem to be making connections, take a step back, go back to the basics, see what's at the most fundamental stage of the process wrong, right? Is it the quality of the work that's wrong? Start at the very, very beginning, the quality of the songs, the quality of the production. Kind of work from those stages. Are you making the right calls? Do you need to do more research and find out like a better avenues or simpler avenues for releasing your material? Whatever your particular block is, whether it's career or mixing, it's all the same thing. Go back to the most basic elements of what it is that you're doing and start with those foundational elements. If those things are good, then the subtle adjustments that you make on top of them will give you results quickly and instantly. That's a Mixing with Mike career building tip. When in doubt, go back to the basics.